Good evening, students. How are you? Fine. Okay, very good. Students, in yesterday discussion, we came across different facts about the importance of management in an organization. And I hope you might have gone through this topic, the importance of management, from your textbook in detail, and you will find yourself able to answer the questions relating to this topic. And despite if you feel some difficulties, then you may contact me. Okay? Today we are going to discuss the new topic, and that is the nature of management. Okay? Students, you know, there is a controversy among the scholars regarding the nature of management. Some scholars say that management is a science, whereas some scholars say that management is an art. And some scholars also accept that management is science and art both. Okay? Let us discuss these things one by one. Okay? First of all, let us explain management as a science. But before explaining it as a science, let us define what is called science. Okay? Science is usually defined as a systematized body of knowledge involving experiments and observations, and the knowledge of which can be verified and which explains cause and effect relationship of different variables. Okay, I don't know this is the exact definition of science, but certainly it extracts out some basic characteristics of science, such as the first basic characteristic of science is that it is a systematized body of knowledge. Why? Because it has its own theories and principles which are experimented in scientific researches, in inventions and discoveries. Okay, if you apply this characteristic of science to management, you will find that management also seems to be a science. Why? Because the management too has its own theories and principles which are practiced by managers in day-to-day affairs of business, and they observe the facts, the happenings. Okay? So, from this point of view, we can say management is a science. Okay? The second important characteristic of science is that it is based on experiments and observations. Yes, it is also true that nothing can be stated in science without proper experiments and observations. Okay? The same way, if you apply this characteristic to management, you will find that it is also a field in which so many experiments are conducted and observations are done by managers. In fact, when they control different business situations, when they make decisions, and when they get themselves involved in solutions of different problems, Then they experiment their ideas and they observe the facts, and after that they make important decisions. Okay, from this point of view also you will find that management is a science. Okay, the third important characteristic of science is that it explains cause and effect relationship of different variables. That means science involves the questions like why and how. Okay, whenever you put the questions like why and how to something, then it becomes science. The same way, there is also an explanation of cause and effect relationship of different things in management. For example, when a manager makes a decision, then he must take into consideration its different impacts on the organization. And if he observes that the impacts will be positive, then the manager finds himself in position to make the decision, otherwise not. Okay, and in the same way, in so many other situations, you will find that there is an explanation of cause and effect relationship. Thus, management seems to be a science. Okay. The next important characteristic of science is that it has universal validity. That means the principles of science can be experimented in all places and in all circumstances. They have their universal application. Okay, it is also true, you will find that the principles of management can also be applied in all circumstances and in all types of the organizations to a larger extent. Thus, from this point of view also, management seems to be a science. And if you apply other features of science to management, you will find that management is a science. Okay, so the scholars who consider management as a science, they are correct in their opinion. However, it is important to note that whether management is exact science or pure science, like other physical science such as physics, chemistry, biology, if you compare management with other physical science, then you will find that no, management is not an exact science or not a pure science like other physical science. Why? There are reasons. Okay, the first reason is that management is concerned with human being, and the behavior of human being cannot be predicted as exactly as the behavior of different variables of science can be predicted. Okay, there are uncertainties in behavior of human being. Okay, therefore, from this point of view, you cannot say that management is an exact science. The second reason is that The principles of science are experimented in restricted conditions of the laboratories. Okay? But so long as the principles of management are concerned, they are experimented in fast changing dynamic circumstances of the society. And the experimentation of these principles cannot give the exact results or the expected results as can be done in science, in pure science. Okay? From this point of view also, it can be said that management is not an exact science. The third reason is that although the principles of management have universal validity, like the principles of physical science, despite they cannot be applied in the same way in all circumstances and in all business circumstances. Okay, to a larger extent they have universal validity, but not in the same way as the principles of other physical science have. Okay, thus we may conclude that management is a science, but it is not an exact science or a pure science. Then you may ask, what type of science it is? Okay, the overall observation about the nature of management as a science spells out that it is an inexact or applied, or it is a soft science. Okay, thank you.